Hello, everyone. Welcome back to RYTHM Connect, the official podcast of the RYTHM Foundation. On this show, we engage with incredible people driving real change in their communities. I am your host, Umayal Eswaran, and I'm glad you are tuned in today for our latest episode. Through this show, we aim to bring you powerful stories about ordinary people who have made an extraordinary impact on the lives of others. If this is your first time tuning into RYTHM Connect, please make sure to check out our previous episodes later. I promise you will love the stories. Your feedback helps us make this show even better. So don't hesitate to reach out on our social media channels. You'll find all the links you need in the episode description. We have a very special guest on the show today. In the previous episodes, I've had the privilege of speaking to individuals who have made a difference in their community through their advocacy and personal efforts. But today, for the first time, we have someone on the show who does something very similar to what we do. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Yatela Zainal Abidin, the CEO of the Sime Darby Foundation, which serves as the social responsibility arm of Sime Darby Group. Dr. Yatela has spent over half her career in philanthropy and has been leading the Sime Darby Foundation in Malaysia since 2010. As an expert in corporate governance and an advocate for equitable education, her focus is on addressing the critical needs of today's ever-changing society and environment. We are delighted to have you here with us today, Dr. Yatela.
Thank you, Datin Sri.
RYTHM Foundation shares your enthusiasm for equity and shaping the leaders of tomorrow. It's not an easy task, but it's truly rewarding. We can't wait to dive into your incredible work. So let's get started. Dr. Yatela, for over 2 decades, you have seamlessly navigated corporate governance and the work of ensuring inclusivity for women and the disabled so they can become leaders of the future. Today, I'm hoping we can enlighten others about how these focus areas converge and serve to unlock people's innate potential. To start, Dr. Yatela, I would like to hear your journey from where you began and where you are today, and your own journey, and in that, your challenges that has shaped you to being who you are today. Can we hear from you?
Sure, thank you, Datin Sri.
Thank you.
Okay, so I started my journey in Sime Darby actually in 1996.
Wow.
Yeah, as an internal auditor. I am currently a fellow of the ACCA, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. So I was a trainee at the beginning, an ACCA trainee, doing accounts and doing audit, and then I settled with audit, internal audit. And I actually did internal audit over quite a few industries for 11 plus years.
Wow.
Before I was called for an interview.
Okay.
For the position of CEO of Yayasan Sime Darby.
Okay.
There wasn't a CEO then. They wanted to have one. And I understand that they invited like 10 candidates from within Sime Darby.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the way to go. Yeah.
So I was shortlisted for second interview. And then the rest is history. I didn't ask for the position,
Yes.
but I've been being the CEO of Sime Darby Foundation for 14 plus years now, doing all the things. I'm very blessed that I really feel for across 5 pillars, which are education,
Right.
environment conservation, community and health,
Hmm.
sports, and arts and culture.
Okay.
And our theme actually, Datin Sri, is looking at equality, inclusivity. That
Yes.
is what across all our 5 pillars
Right.
actually. I loved what I was doing so much that along the way I decided to do a doctoral degree in education for the underprivileged.
Oh, wow.
Something very different from a counselor.
Yeah.
I
Very.
did accounting degree and I did my CCA, right?
Right.
So I really, really loved what I did, but it wasn't easy to get to where I am today.
Right.
While I was an internal auditor, I loved the job. I actually missed it when I transitioned into going into this CEO of the foundation
Yes.
job. I really missed it. But there were so many challenges along the way. I must say it's because of discrimination. A woman in a hijab.
Yeah, of course.
And at the time, I was getting pregnant and giving birth. And for a woman, proving myself, my self-worth, I had to work longer hours, I think, than men. I remember before giving birth, I remember going into a project site. I was going into a construction site, really heavy with child. I was giving birth the next day already. I didn't know that. In a jeep, going into a project. God. Yes, and I was doing that until the last day before I gave birth. And I also had to, clear backlogs during my maternity leave. I was working. I had to prove myself because at that point of time, it's so tough.
Yeah.
And I was performing during performance appraisals. My superior was saying, "Oh, very good job in giving good performance appraisals." But when my manager left, they always got someone else to come in to be my boss.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not good enough.
Right.
But the thing is, that boss always comes and goes because never performing. And I do not know where they're going to find all these different guys lah.
Yeah.
And I was doing his job already.
Right.
And then one day, a male ally, I must thank him, an Australian.
Right.
I have to mention his name, Mr. John Arcossi.
Right.
He recognized me as a human being, not as a woman, not as a mother, not as someone who has to prove herself extra to be at the same level as men.
Yeah.
And he recommended for my promotion. And then slowly, people could see I can do the job. And then he promoted me again. And then I was interviewed for this position. So things have changed for me since that male ally came into my life. And I think for women out there, climbing the corporate ladder, well, I'm not sure about now. Things are much better now, but I think so too. I must say, male allies, because they have a lot of power.
Yeah.
Whoever, maybe even a woman, an ally, to actually recognize you and to be your sponsor. Have you heard of this, Datin Sri? Find a sponsor, someone who can actually help sell you and give you the opportunity to let you shine. And then you can prove yourself. But I think until today, we women CEOs still have to strive harder than a man. I think still.
I think it's still happening. I mean, it's like you said, there's so many bosses came in and they're, they kept coming in and out, new ones all the time. But you have been there. So I'm sure you know the works of the audit department and happening. But still, they don't think, because that, I think the patriarchal society and the practice has been such, they always see the woman and they think that you're married, you're not capable. Then if you're married,
you don't have time.
They make the decision for you that if you are pregnant and if you have a child, your performance is going to go down. So what would you say to our men community out there? And sometimes women also look at women like that. Sometimes the successful women who are sitting up there in the corporate ladder, they have forgotten that they are a mother. They have gone through the challenges. Some of them have. So I do tell today that sometimes women are the problem to the other women who are trying to climb.
Yes, I've seen that as well.
Yeah. So tell me something about that, and tell me what do you think that either we need to do as from a woman to woman, or even to the men to say that, because what I I'm saying is that don't make the decisions for us.
Yeah.
Open and let us
Opportunities,
do.
yeah.
So what would you say for today,
Okay, I think I'd like to touch on the matter of a biasness.
Yes.
And it's an
Okay.
unconscious one.
Yes.
Latin Sri.
Yes.
It's
True.
something that's deeply ingrained in our minds, our perception. It's very difficult to change because of the way that we were brought up.
Yeah.
What we see. It's because of social media.
Yes.
It's because of societal norms,
Yes.
those kinds of things. So it's like we don't even realize, we're not conscious that we have that biasness. Sometimes
Correct.
I feel am having certain biasness sometimes.
Right.
But the first thing is that we need to realize that there is this unconscious biasness. Okay, that a woman might not be capable enough, especially in male-dominated fields.
Right.
Like Sime Darby, we have palm oil, right?
Yes.
You have the oil palm plantation estates, really tough situations, right?
Yeah.
Not capable enough to lead men in this male-dominated. And then, as you said, that is right. You give birth, you have children and all that stuff. We have to address that. So the thing is, I think it is opening our minds, the education and awareness, which is so much today.
It is.
And of course, okay, we have this International Women's Day, right? But as you said, Datin Sri just now,
Yes.
that it's just one day that we celebrate, but actually it should be the whole year.
Yeah.
It's not only one day.
No.
Right? It's every time we have to look at women and men as equals in and diversity works. You cannot have all men or you cannot have all women either. It's not good. No. Diversity always brings in what do you call it? The profits, the performance, the efficiency, the effectiveness. You have to have a diverse management as well as teams on the ground, always. But the fact of the matter is we must engage and have a realization that we have this unconscious bias and try and address that with spreading the awareness, having certain policies within us so that we are always realizing that okay, there is this thing that's hanging above which we don't realize. We need to address this. So it's good that the government is putting in certain things. For example, because we support the Women's Aid Organization. We're doing things at a national level, advocacy.
Right.
So in 2022, there was something that was approved by the government on the fact that married male employees are entitled to 7 days paternity leave taken consecutively, right?
Right.
Okay. So that is a very good thing for us to think about that, and gives an impression that the man is as responsible in bringing up the child as the woman.
Yeah.
Now, we should be looking like the others in a global arena, right? So, talking about paternal leave for men to be more.
Yeah.
Why? Because, and they can take whenever, because the women need to get ready to come back to work.
Yeah. Yes.
Because if you don't have an idea that it is the same responsibility the father has as the mother, giving the father same kind of leave like the mother, then you always like, the mother is always responsible. Yeah. The man, you have to work, you have to be the one earning.
Yes.
But actually both also need to earn. I mean, in some families, even the father in the West, the father becomes the house husband. Because they feel that the mother is the one who feels that she's the one with the career, and he is the one having to be the one looking after. It's fine. Right. Yeah. So this is a good step. 7 days. But we hope more and more sending the right messages that men and women are equal, not only in the workplace but at home.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Right.
I think that the first thing that a society needs to also understand and be educated that a family means a husband and wife.
Yes.
So if there is a burden, and that's also to be shared.
Yes.
And if everything is to be shared.
Yeah.
Because it's somehow the society, like you said, it has been the practice for hundreds of years. It's just that, they just look at the woman.
Yes.
So today, if there is a family crisis, who do you think steps in to take the sacrifice on her on their career? It's the woman.
Yes.
She's the one who has to leave the job. She's the one who has to stay home mother,
Yeah.
or stay home, daughter-in-law, or stay home daughter. And so she gets, really emotionally drained. And let's say all this settles after 5 years and you come back. The way corporate works have changed.
Yeah.
The way technology is being used changed.
Yes.
She can't fit into the workforce.
Yes. Datin Sri, I want to share with you something that the government announced yesterday. The Ministry of Human Resources, Stephen Sim is the minister, through their agency, Talent Corp, they launched, because of International Women's Day,
Right.
As part of the thing, they launched a program. I can't remember what's the name of the program, but they launched a program to encourage women to come back to work. Yes, to close that gender gap at the workplace. So they're having policies and programs to encourage this, because the government and the whole country realizes that there's such a drain, brain drain, resource drain if women are expected to only be at home and aren't able to come back to work if the family doesn't, have a balanced responsibility.
Yeah.
So these kinds of programs, it sends a subliminal message, hopefully changing our unconscious biasness that only men need to be responsible here for earning money, and the women belong at home.
Yeah.
So these kinds of things, I think, are good things going forward with these policies.
Yeah.
And the way people are talking now and all that is so much better than what it was before. I'm so happy for the young ones today.
I think it's been, like I told you, there's so much of progress has been there in the last 10 years. All this discussion that you and I are now talking about, of course, we are taking women in general. Now, I'm going to take another step to asking that, women in general itself facing all these challenges today with what the society is today.
Yeah.
What about the women who are coming from the underprivileged?
Oh, yeah. Even much more, right?
Yeah. Because they don't even see the domestic violence as something that they should fight against and go and report. Where do you see us taking this and empowering the women there and saying, speak up or be educated, stay in school? You know what I'm saying? Do something in your life that matters.
Yes.
Where do you see us today, and what can be done?
Now, what you are doing, Datin Sri, and what we are doing in Sime Darby Foundation as well, I think we have to continue with the education and the awareness so that we reach the underprivileged communities. Whenever anything happens, the fact that they are underprivileged, even during disasters like COVID, the women are affected the most.
Yes.
In various ways.
Yes.
Because they're at home with the husband, a lot of them, because of they've already been abused, is even worse during that time because it's stress. And they come from underprivileged families, not enough money, even worse and worse. That's there. And then communities where there's no water. The girls have to stop going to school because they have to go and search water with their mothers, search for water. So it's always the women and the girls who have to sacrifice education or sacrifice anything in order for them to support the family with looking for walking kilometers every day to search for water. Every single thing, it always goes back, unfortunately, to the woman. Yesterday, I was having a conversation. A conversation with another foundation. They're doing. I'm on the board of this foundation, Yayasan Sime Darby, using entrepreneurship to bring out the very, very poor. Income of less than 2,000, 1,000. Using entrepreneurship so that they can come out of poverty. I just realized that 80% of the beneficiaries are women. So single mothers. Or in a family that the father's not very good and the mother is the one that has to bring in the bread. So it's always about that. So what we are doing, I think also the government is doing certain programs and policies, also looking at gender equality and things like that. And we have so many also organizations, NGOs looking at gender equality.
Yes.
We all need to progress still looking at women and girls, their rights, their knowledge that it's not right to be beaten up at home, for example, right? Your mother is beaten up. That doesn't make it right. The young ones need to know that. I think it's easier to spread the knowledge now with digital social media and all that. Not like before.
No.
But we need to spread that. You, us, the government, the NGOs, we need to work together to spread the knowledge and help where we can. Have targeted programs as well.
That's what our Maharani program does, is to basically, we are first focusing on education. Because I think if they're educated, then their access to knowledge, which also gives them the privilege of knowing the right and the wrong. You know, when you don't have that, what is your norm is what's happening at home. And that not necessarily mean it's the norm.
Yes,
you know?
It's not the right.
No. So so that's why these girls and boys, that when they come from these underprivileged families, if the father, let's say, has a very menial job, he's a lorry driver, let's just say, mother goes and cleans toilets and things like that in an office, they can't think beyond that. If you talk to those kids, they can't think beyond that. So what we do in our program is for them to dream big. You dream big. Who stops you? It's your right.
Very
you know,
good.
and I say that, you know, every child has the right to education. That means whether it's a boy or a girl. And to be healthy, to be heard, to be protected, you know, to be educated, it is their right.
Yes, it is.
You know, so we should give that right.
Yes.
We should not take it away from them.
Yes.
You know, and I think this is the way of creating that. The way we can do is to create awareness. Now, like how you're doing Sime Darby Foundation and how we are doing in RYTHM Foundation. Keep working, keep consistently talking, right? And telling them that you need to be different. You need to be bold. You need to be strong. You need to come out and speak. You know, I think we keep doing that. Like earlier you said, this is not about, let's say, empowering or changing thousands of women. If we can change one woman, one girl at a time, you know,
so
to
much
stand
impact
up for her rights, to stand up and speak and fight and say that this is my life and I want to do what is good for me, you know, then I think we have done something right.
Yes, I totally agree. That's how we're saving this starfish today.
I know. And I think if we look at it, like you and me were growing up at that time, I don't think we would have had, you know, this kind of awareness or, you know. But somehow, look at me and you today. Okay? So we survived. Not only did we survive, we are today championing for the other women. But then we didn't have social media. We didn't have any of those things. You said you're going to do it. You had someone who just lifted you up, you know, from where you were. But after that, you know, but then you also had that drive to do something, wanting more. But I think that's what we have to, you know, we have to start that fire in them, right? Because I want this. I want this for me. You know, because then I think that we can do better. I mean, you have done a lot of programs. You have done, and also, I just going to throw this question as well as you, because you have a foundation and you work on governance. Because I believe that we do need very good governance. Because in order for these programs to make an impact.
Yes, we have to ensure.
Can you say a bit more about the governance and, you know, a foundation and how things going to work?
Okay. So now Datin Sri, across our 5 pillars, as I mentioned, we have inclusivity as part of what we want to do, right? So we have, for every program, we have KPIs set.
Okay.
So that those KPIs I bring to my council before they approve any of the programs that we embark on. right? And then, of course, we will always monitor and we will report quarterly of what's happening. And when there are issues, we will work with our beneficiaries, our partners actually, to address those issues. Really going out of our way in certain times when there are really, really big problems, when those KPIs are very difficult to achieve, especially during COVID.
Yes.
But there, aside from COVID, there were also situations where very difficult to achieve, and we have to work together, and using also our who we are today, as we have certain clouds, certain kinds of power in certain areas, we could make certain things happen if because sometimes NGOs don't have that kind of
course, yes.
So we make sure that it's happened. So all this with the KPIs, the process of payments for foundations, bread and butter is payments.
Yes.
The donations, right?
Yes.
We don't give one-off donations. We don't give like this is your 500,000 or 250,000 or whatever. We give it based on a reimbursement basis, right? But for those NGOs that don't have monies to roll, then potentially we can give an advance, but we do a reconciliation of what you did with that advance before we make the next advance payments.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of process.
Yes.
Actually, that is true. So all the partners that we have, people know that these are partners who are resilient.
Yeah.
Because they can work with resilience, right? You have very same, right?
Yes.
So okay, if you want to work with Yayasan Sime Darby, you have to this. And we are very demanding that way.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was told, I know I've heard about this, but I was told personally the other day as well that there was a certain funder, a corporate organization. They said that because this organization is funded by Yayasan Sime Darby, they're very confident that the processes are there because they could work with us for how many years, and we continued our support for them. So, like having worked with Yayasan Sime Darby, that means that organization has been trained by Yayasan Sime Darby, making sure that it's good, the governance is there, processes are there, so that whatever money is donated to them goes towards that objective. So I think it works good within our mission as well. Of course, our mission is to make a difference in lives of others, and in our 5 pillars, sustainable value and all that, at the end is upholding high level of corporate governance. So that is very important to us because of that. And that also assures our donors that every single ringgit that they donate to us goes to the cause and not into others.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we are very much aligned.
Yeah.
Is that also because women are sitting at the head of the foundation?
Actually, that is actually the foundations, if you realize today, a lot of the Yayasans are run by women.
Yeah. See, because because I think women are also known to be very detailed, and women are known to be, you want to do it right, and so actually everything that you said now, it so resonates with us because we are the same. So today people know if you come to RYTHM Foundation, it's not about, and we don't give one-offs either, And of course they think that, we are a corporate foundation. So the mentality is they have the money. Because you're a corporate foundation, and you're somehow way bigger than us, Sime Darby. So, they have the money. So, so they throw at us these proposals that looks ridiculous,
They don't realize.
I'm sure you would have got that same things going, isn't it?
They don't realize that it's free, that we are accountable to our donors. Every single ringgit. The bigger the foundation, the bigger the accountability.
Yeah. I tell them the same thing. For us, we are accountable to our board because they'll be like, why are we spending so much money? I mean, what is the reason? So I always tell them that the mentality of people who are giving us proposals is saying that, this is QI Foundation, so they have a lot of money. So I think you and I should, in a way, give credit to ourselves and say, I think it's being run this way because women are at the helm, and everybody needs to recognize this. And I think we can go on, like you said, the whole day talking about this, and, maybe a whole month talking about this, but because we are time up, and I need to wrap up. And I think based on what we have discussed, and we were talking about, women empowerment, your journey, and, and also how we can empower the underprivileged. And you talked about, we need government policies, right? We need, so in order for women to be raised, or even women from the underprivileged to be recognized, given the freedom of choice, making those decisions in their life, right? I think all this has to come into an ecosystem, right? Of where government policies, private, communities, nation as a whole, the mindset change, right? The behavior, and even men, the patriarch, has to support this and say that women are half, or if not more than half, the population, and therefore we have to empower them and let them, not to say empower, I mean, we don't need to be empowered, we are empowered. Let's not use that word, we need empowered. Just let us be who we are.
Be given the opportunities.
Correct.
Right? Like, can I just share a little bit?
Please.
Sri, we have 5 pillars,
Right.
And one of the pillar is sports. Right?
Yes.
And sports, we focus on funding women and girls in sports.
Right.
Because I realize, because Tunku Imran is my chairman, he's been in sports all his life. He's saying that the boys and the men get a lot of funding for their development.
Yes.
But women and girls are left behind.
Yes.
And then you lose a lot of potential because you don't give them the same opportunities. It's not the same level playing field.
Yes.
So we must give the same opportunities so that both can come up at the same level.
Yes.
And for girls, he said this is not me, but he said, Tunku said that girls more disciplined. Then you have the Nicole Davids of the world,
Yes, I agree with you. I think this is one of the things in Maharani I did say to my team. And I said that you have to bring in sports, because we need to get these girls into sports.
Yes, very much
and,
so.
it also makes them stronger. It makes them competitive. And a lot of people have said, if you would have heard, if you want people to hear and spoken, you send the man. But if you want something done, send the women in, So,
but that is Sri, we have to have not only opportunities, but an equitable situation.
Exactly.
Why? Because safety.
Yes.
Yeah. We are the weaker sex at the end of the day. So the government had launched something called the Safe Sports Code. Because in the sports world, the girls and the women, a lot have been taken advantage of.
Of course, yes.
So we have to have these kinds of things in place, these policies in place and implemented and enforced, so that the women and girls have the same opportunities as the men. Because even only giving them the opportunities but not an equitable one, where they at the same starting space as men, is not going to work. We have to look at what women are subjected to, because we're different than men. So those kinds of things have to come into play as well in the policies.
So I think that's why I said as an ecosystem, because we need to look at, I think, every aspect of it. And we just need to keep talking about it. As we keep talking, I think whether it's governments, whether anybody has any government bodies like that's governing, has no choice but to look and say, okay, this is powerful enough, the voice is loud enough, that we need to do something about it. So let's keep doing the good work that we are doing. Let's continue to do it. And let's make the women and the girls stronger. Well, that's all we have time for today. Dr. Yatela, thank you so much for taking the time to be on RYTHM Connect show.
My pleasure.
We deeply appreciate your sharing your insights and stories with our audience. To our listeners, I hope you have enjoyed listening to Dr. Yatela as much as I have enjoyed talking to her. To be a leader, finding, shaping, and lifting the next generation of leaders is never easy. This work is an important component of forging a future that is compassionate, equitable, and inclusive, and you can help drive this transformation forward. Remember to subscribe to our podcast for alerts on the newest episodes streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And be sure to follow Rhythm Foundation, that's RYTHM, on Facebook and Instagram to learn more about our work worldwide. The links are listed in the episode description. Join us again next time for more stories of change, resilience, and innovation. Until then, remember to rise for people, rise for progress, and rise for the future. Together, we can create a better world.